Just a quick channel update. I've had some nice subscriber growth and I know I've not been very active recently. Well, I have done a project where I've bitten off more than I can really chew, and even though I've done most of it, I'm procrastinating on finishing it. And this video itself is actually part of that procrastination. But I will have at least the first part of that done very soon. The second thing is a request. I want to see some builds. I've had, at time of recording, 29 downloads on parts specifically for the triple motor craft, so 29 people were at least planning on building it. I'm not seeing much new around YouTube. My build videos have been very popular, so I really want to see some videos. Don't be shy, give me a shout. So this design, which I've worked on and off, it can hover, it can skim about in ground effect, and it can actually fly, making it very versatile. I plan to do a thorough overview and build video of this one, but to be honest, if you go and look at my triple motor one and build that without the movable flaps and then just stick the wings and the motors on, that's basically it. There's a couple of subtle little things, especially to do with controls, which we'll cover, which are the key to making this not only fly but actually land properly, which I'll get onto in a moment. Here's a kind of cheat sheet of the geometry, nothing special, and some specifications. Now, I talked about landings being difficult, and you're probably imagining, well, if you're flying, all you do is just turn on the lift motors and plop it down gracefully onto the air cushion. Yeah, that's what I've been trying for several years, and it tends to go wrong. When this is flying and you turn on the lift motors, it will pitch up. It's particularly bad if the CG is a little bit too far back, as I think it is here, but even quite a forward CG doesn't really help. It's also worse the slower it's moving, because not as much control authority with the elevons, and it's also worse the more you spin up the lift motors. If you were to be flying very slowly and you turn the lift motors to full, it will basically pitch up vertical, stall, fall back, and brake, which happened an awful lot. And it's also why I've never once had this design down a beach. Thought, sure, it'll hover, it'll skim, it'll take off, but it's been quite badly damaged even on gentle landings on grass. Hard sand would just rip it. I do have a partial solution to this issue. If you're listening to this and planning on building this, this is going to save you a lot of grief, believe me. Step 1 is a elevator to lift motor differential mix, i.e. you need the lift motors on different channels to accomplish this. When the lift motors are active, forward elevator spins down the front motor and powers up the rear one. If it slows down the front motor so much that it stops, it's still okay. This by itself really helps to stop that pitch up. The second mix is a lift power to elevon mix. I'm using the slider on my radio, so it's a proportional lift power. It's not just on off or 3 position. As lift power increases, there's automatic mix of down elevon. These two things have made it much easier to land it properly, i.e. not just slamming off the ground. You can fly it in like a normal plane with quite a high speed, or you can use a bit more lift power and float it down. It does not do well trying to come down completely vertical like a helicopter. It tends to just roll from side to side, so you want to maintain some forward speed, but you can get much closer to the idea of just dropping onto the air cushion gently rather than belly flopping or stalling and slamming into the ground. And with that, I don't have much more to say. I'm trying to keep this brief. This design, it's not a graceful flyer, it's a big flat plate. It needs a lot of low-end thrust, but it's interesting. I do like it, and it can do some kind of high alpha stuff. I think with a bit more power it would actually do some 3D stuff, you know. It's getting there, it's getting there. You have the elevons full in the prop wash, so there's tons of low speed authority, although not always enough to stop the pitch up.